Welcome to Makers Alive, the Bhavkala Creative Podcast where we speak with artists and makers across discipline and industries, documenting their journeys as they are being lived. Today we will be conversating with Himani Agrawal, an enamel artist and the founder of The Joyful Enamelist, a luxury jewelry brand blending ancient Indian enameling techniques with contemporary designs. Built after 2 years of extensive research and development. She is finalist for Best in Innovation at Milan Jewelry Week 2022. Her collection was also displayed in New York City Jewelry Week and Munich Jewelry Week in 2025 and 26. The brand also walked the ramp at Paris Fashion Week 2024. She is an artist originally from Lucknow and is currently based in New Delhi. Alongside her practice, she also conducts workshops and teaches enamel technique. Also a part of Bhavkala Collective in 2024. And we are super excited to have you in this show.
Thank you so much, Sonakshi. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. And I'm really excited to talk about my journey. And yeah, let's see how it goes.
Same here. We would love to know your journey, even before how you started in your career, in your childhood, how it all influenced you to be here.
Okay. So, as a child, I was a very, when I look back now, because that time you don't really pay attention to these small things. But as a child, I've always played with a lot of materials. Also because my father was into construction, so my house always will have variety of material around. So I always find it very intriguing
And
to
fascinating
use them.
to experiment with.
So ना वो hills बने रहते थे घर पे. तो I always find them very fascinating. दोनों का texture अलग होता था, दोनों से जो चीजें create होती थी, that was different. So in my free time, I'll explore that, and I think that time one doesn't realize that the material has always called me, and I always enjoyed building with hands. Even post 12th, when everyone has this clear idea of what they want to use, become, what will be their career path, I was kind of very confused. I had no clarity, and I will go by whatever other people are telling me and advising me. So my dad did a very interesting thing. Because he was from the construction background and he was designing interiors, so he made me meet a couple of professionals, like an interior designer, an architect, a fashion designer, from his network, and he made me spend like a day or two with them just to understand their life, what they do, and how their work is. So I think that really attracted me when I spent time with the professionals, and that's when I decided that I'll take up design. I was more keen into accessory design that time. So I prepared for NIFT. I did 1 year of college also. I went to the university just to get a feel of how a university is. And during that time, I prepared for my entrance. And luckily, I got through NIFT, Gandhinagar. And it was very, I was very lucky that, I got through Gandhinagar, because Gandhinagar had a specialization of jewelry and they had specialization of metals.
Yeah.
So that was my journey into, exploring metal as a material. And it stayed with me forever So after college, I got into a proper corporate job. I worked in the jewelry industry for 15 years. And during my work tenure, I had an opportunity to not just be working with the design department, but into merchandising. As a buyer, I worked for a good 7 years, traveling across the world, meeting one of the most renowned jewelry artists and designers. So that really widened my spectrum of the industry. And it was like during one of those travels only when I used to go to Vicenza for the show. So the show was divided obviously into the big brands displaying their products, but they also had a section of makers and artists who are making products on their own. And they were using all sorts of materials. They were not restricted to only precious material for jewelry. They were using In fact, one of the artists, I still have her piece, they were using real flowers and preserving those flowers and converting that into jewelry. So it was back in 2005 that I saw something like that. And
It was very
that
uncommon back then.
it was really.
Yeah.
And those dried leaves, they will gild it with gold and preserve it, so you can see the veins and cracks of the leaves and all.
Yeah.
So it was like a total new whole new world for me for the jewelry. And even though I was working with like a proper precious jewelry company, that really attracted me. And I bought few pieces from those makers, and I
Wow.
used to love chatting with them and knowing their journey. It somewhere it stayed with me, and I was like, "Ki one day maybe I will also, be like them." So I was not aspiring to be, Hafner or Rosato, which were the big brands of Italy. I was aspiring to be a maker more than anything. So that
Wow.
stayed with me, and it's just that I continued to be in corporate for a good 15 years. And it was, I think, when during my motherhood is when I decided to take a break from the corporate. And that was the time when, you are alone, you have a lot of time to think. During that time, I think I somewhere realized that what I'm missing in my life. I mean, whole schedule has changed. My corporate life is not the same as it used to be with a
Yeah.
kid. For a brief moment of time, like for 2-3 years, I was not working also, and I was taking care of my kid. So during that time, I used to pick up whatever online courses are available, read a lot, sketch a lot, whatever time I had in my hand. And when my kids started going to preschool, that was the time when I saw this on fire enamel. And it was close to my house, so I thought, let me give it a try. It was over a weekend. And I knew about enameling because we did a little course in our college. But it
Yeah.
was after doing this workshop, I realized the enameling that I learned during college was very, very traditional and limited to one style,
Okay.
which most of the Indian jewelers are doing in India.
Does
But
it have a name? A particular name?
it's called Meenakari. In India, we know
Okay.
it as Meenakari. So Meena is basically the crushed glass. So the craft of it is called Meenakari.
It is done on the
And
surface, right?
so it's a flat surface, and you create a border with the thin gold wire, and
Yeah.
in that border you fill the glass, and then you use a torch mm, to from the bottom to
Okay.
melt the glass, and that fuses with metal, so it becomes like a permanent layer. So the technique is same, like what I also do in my practice. It's the same. Instead of using a torch, now we use electric kiln.
Okay.
But traditionally, when it originated from Persia and it came to India, so they always use the fire. So it used to be first
Wow.
during that time. Obviously, there were no blowtorch, and so they use it with like they used to blow it from mouth, and then it progressed into using a fire torch, and now we have electric kiln. So the
Yeah.
progression is there in terms of technology, but the technique same.
Okay.
So when I did this workshop, it was like, this whole setup of that place was also reminded me of the workshop we used to have at NIF. It's like right in the center of nature, and you have all the tools we used to have in our workshop. So this workshop was basically where they were using copper as a base material. We have only done enamel on silver and gold in our college. So when I was working with copper, using all the tools and hammers and pliers and all, I think that moment I still can't forget. That feeling that I had in me, because it was like I instantly connected with my childhood, with my college days. That how I used to enjoy working with materials and tools.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it was pure joy for me.
Wow.
So it was a 2 day workshop, and then the way the whole enameling was taught, because I never seen that process, and because it was on copper, so the techniques are little different and the steps are different. It was like two material of very different nature. Like there is a metal that is hard and ductile, and you can form and make shapes out of it. And whatever you do on metal has memory, so the impact will be there. And at the same time, you have another material which is enamel, which is so fluid, and like even if it's glass powder, but when it goes through heat, it melts.
Yeah.
So they both are of a very different nature, but when they come together, it creates something really unique and different. So it was like an eye opener for me, and the play of material became like my
Your joy.
exactly. So it was 2 days workshop, and after doing that, I got to know that they also have a full fire enamel course of 21 days. And I was not ready to commit because my kid was still small that time. But the best part of it that I had a flexibility of time and days. So I agreed. I took up that course. And I think, that was the start of it, and it never ended.
Wow. You are wearing your brooch, I see.
Yes.
Would you like to
Yes.
share a little bit about it?
Sure, why not? So, like I said, that like 2018 and 2019 was my period that I was learning. Once the course was over, I set up a small. I'm just giving you a background because it's a journey of doing a piece, something like this. It's not
Yeah.
that it happened within a day
Overnight,
or
yeah,
something. Out of
sure.
it, that how I, as a person, grew through this art.
Wow.
How my work also evolved during period of time.
Sure.
So set up at home, a small setup at home, and I started practicing. I had no intention or idea that I will convert this into a brand.
And this
one
is
day.
after your fire enamel workshop, like after you learning from
Yes.
the enamel
So
workshop.
I finished somewhere towards the end of 2019,
Okay.
and early 2020 was the time when COVID was, the wave of COVID was there, and it was in the news, and things were shutting down. Since I was mainly at home and doing my practice, during that time, COVID time, is the when I really got deeply involved into it, because till then I was doing more as a hobby and just as a creative outlet
Correct.
to my So I spent a lot of time during COVID mastering this craft, doing pieces, experimenting with it. I think it was during that time only that I realized that I can convert this into beautiful jewelry. Coming from fine jewelry background, I never wanted it to look like a craft jewelry, but more like a refined luxury product. I spent a lot of time doing one piece.
Correct.
So I wanted to add value to it, and I wanted people to see value into it. So that's the reason I thought making it more of a luxury product where it's more refined, detailed, it will add more value to the craft itself. I tried brass, I tried other metals to, fix the jewelry, and then finally I decided I'll stick to silver. So now the whole product line is that enamel is done on base of copper, and then it gets set on silver. So
Interesting.
whatever part touches your skin is all silver.
Wow.
Silver being a noble metal, it
Yeah.
doesn't give you any rashes or doesn't cause any harm to skin. So that's how the product evolved, and also to find a right supplier to the right manufacturing unit to do this setting on silver, because for them also it was something really new and something different. So that 2 years of good research.
Yeah, I
work
was
that
going to
went
ask
into
you.
Filput.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
took 2 years to refine your process, do even the experimentation of you whether you want to keep it copper or silver based, because definitely like that was my first thought when I heard about copper, because copper tends to react and it's a very reactive material on its own. You chose to do it on silver, and the procedure, finding the manufacturers, that must have been like a long process. Like finally made it, how was the feeling and what was the afterthought?
So yeah, so I think at the end of 2021, I got my first line of product with me.
Okay.
And that's when I applied at Dastakar and did my first show in Feb 2022. It was convenient and comfortable space for me, and I thought it is a good outlet for me to showcase my work because of the whole reputation it holds. So I did my first show in Feb 2022, and I didn't start it as a business. I had no strategy deck ready or a business plan or something like that. I just started out of my passion for doing something which I really enjoy. The first exhibition was like an eye-opener. People loved it. I mean, I was not expecting that kind of a reaction, but in that exhibition made me realize that the product that I have developed, though it was very different that time, and it has, it is a power to make people stop, pause, and look more intently. There was a sense of wonder. Nobody has seen anything like that. So there is a curiosity. So all these emotions were coming out through my products and through my work, and that's what I enjoyed. And it's not that I did amazing sales, but the connection, the feedback that I got, that was more valuable for me.
Yeah, and it showed you the potential of the jewelry,
Yes,
the product
yes.
that you created over the 2 years.
Yeah, it was like, getting first-hand customer feedback on it and understanding what they are looking for, whether they are even comfortable wearing a product like this. So that time my collection was more, floral, and it was from a very design perspective, because I'm a designer. So it was totally from a design perspective, not from the art perspective. Maybe during our conversation, I'll come to it, that how I find those two very distinctly different. Yeah, and after that, I did couple of more exhibitions in India, and okay. So I'll come back to the piece that you asked me.
Sure.
Sorry,
Yes.
I'm distracted.
No worries.
So yeah,
This is the reason why we do podcasts, because we go through the journey and then we get lost and then we come back, and that's the whole beauty of it. That's all right.
Yeah. So yeah, this piece I'm wearing is something that I did last year, and it was for an open call where the theme was vortex.
Oh.
And when I read it, I found it very intriguing, and I thought, let me give it a try. So I started sketching, and I started looking more deeply into how I can bring meaning to this theme. So and while doing my brainstorming, I realized that we as a human are so much lost in the picture perfect scenario of social media, that somewhere we are losing ourselves. We are afraid to project our true self.
Yeah, very true.
That was back in last year when I started doing this piece. So that became like kind of a inspiration, where I wanted to remind people to come back to self, center themselves, because the title of the piece is Vortex of Lost Self.
Wow.
And that's why you see all these ripples around it, and in the center it's the core you, which is red, which is bright, brimming, calling you. So that was the whole concept. I did this piece. It took me almost 45 days to make this piece because there were failures and trials and error. And in this each piece, like each layer has been individually cut, shaped, then fused with the enamel using my the technique that I developed over a period of time. So it took me good 45 days. And because of that, I lost the opportunity of submitting the piece on time. But and I was not happy with it, to be very honest. I was somewhere I was not very happy with it. So the original piece is in black and white and red, and because I was not happy with it, I just kept it inside somewhere. And during one of my exhibition, one of my friend was helping me to sort out the pieces and all, and he saw this, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." I'm like, "No, this is not good. I don't like this piece. Just keep it back."
That's like every artist.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna display this. So he's like, "Okay, fine, don't display it, but I can wear it." So he wore it. I mean, he didn't listen to me, and he just wore it. And he's like, "You're not selling this piece because you don't like it. So I'll just keep it." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And because he was there in the exhibition and everyone asked him for the piece. And he's like, "No, this is not for sale. You can ask her if she's ready to make another one." And I'm like, "I'm not making another one. It takes me good 45 days and I don't even remember now how to make it." So yeah, that was the whole story of this. And then finally, one eminent personality came, and I couldn't say no to him. And he's like, "I want to buy this piece." So my friend was like, "I'm not selling this piece. She can take an order for you." So he's like, "Okay, fine. If you're taking an order, do a blue combination for me. Do blue, white, and red because those are my brand colors also, and I relate more to those colors." So I was like, "Okay." It took me good 2 months to make that piece between my busy schedule and all. So yeah, so this is the last time I'm wearing it because I have to send it to him.
Oh, it's interesting. That's amazing. Wow. So
This is the
lovely story behind
and
the whole thing, I would say.
yeah. So yeah, and that's what happened, like, over a period of time, because I started participating a lot in these international open calls. My whole perspective of looking at my art, translating that into a form, has changed. Because, when I started as a designer, I'll pick up very obvious themes and inspirations, like some object which is already there and converting that into the design. But now, while doing more often that I participate in these open calls, and the kind of a theme they come up with, they are abstract, they are not tangible, they are not something visible. Like vortex is more, I mean, you can take it as a literal, but I like to take it more on a feeling of it, and converting that into more emotional theme, and then giving a form to it. So within in 3-4 years, that's how my work has evolved and changed.
Interesting. So usually how much time does it take for you to make one piece?
It's a very difficult question to answer because it all depends on the kind of a piece. So if it's something that I'm doing for the first time, like good 1 week or 2 weeks go into experimenting with, because I may have some idea in my mind where I want to not just the enamel part of it, but also the construction part of it, because I focus a lot on that. So sometimes it takes longer, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just to get the construction of the piece right. And once that is done, then comes the enamel part of it. So depending on design, it can take up to like 1 week to 1 month.
Okay.
Like I said, this piece took me 45 days
Yeah.
to eventually get to where I wanted it to be.
Correct. So it's like you might be like taking time to formulate the design, the first piece, and do you like make similar designs or is every piece unique?
No, I avoid making similar design.
Okay.
Like I said that for this brooch also, I was not ready to make another piece, but uh, when a person like him asked me to make something, I couldn't say no to it, and that's where the colors are changed, and even the construction has changed because I did that piece last year. It's not that I have a particular formula or something that has been written down that how I made that piece. It was more of an intuitive thing that I was doing.
Makes
So I
sense.
didn't have the whole process laid down with me. So so I did try to recreate that piece, but still this piece is very different from the one original piece. So every piece is unique in itself. Even if, like for the commercial line that I have, I might have the form might be similar, same, but the enamel on it is always different.
Interesting.
I always intentionally try to keep it different. In fact, my pair of earrings, which are, even if it's just a small floral earring, both the flowers are not identical because I'm in nature you don't have two identical flower of same tree. So
Correct.
that is how my work is. I don't keep it identical.
It is a very precious jewelry line.
Yeah.
Once, so you have walked us through your process, your journey. Now coming to the business side of it. Now that you have been doing it since like 2-3 years now, actually more than that, you launched your
This is the
first
fourth
line
year.
in 2021, so it's fourth year. Okay, so in these 4 years, how did you navigate through business? And currently, are you working alone or do you have other artists? We shared with our viewers that you have been through so many different jewelry fashion weeks globally. So how did that come about? And you got a background in corporate life. So what did you learn from it that helped you in your business?
The business model works in three aspects. So one, I do a commercial line of jewelry, which is sold online and through exhibitions. In exhibitions, I do have statement pieces also because that's what when customers see that and they try it on, they really like those statement pieces. So one part of business is that. The other part, I conduct workshops uh, where I do different formats of workshops, from a day workshop, 2 hour workshop to extensive 1 month workshop also.
Wow.
If and I do workshops with individuals also, corporates also, and design colleges, schools. Uh, so that is another part of the business. And the third is into commission projects, which are basically into interiors. So these are the three aspects of business, uh, which like now being working for 4 years, that has developed into like these three aspects. With me for a good 1.5 year, I have trained them, and they were working they were working with me. Unfortunately, right now, I'm alone. I'm operating solely. I do have like a social media team, on like freelancers, and for the marketing part of it, I think I only do alone. So I am active on LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm still trying to make it be more active on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
think we are all
That's a
guilty of
start.
that. We all want to
Yes.
make best use of it, and then we're like, oh.
So I do make best use of it by getting to know the opportunities, uh, but I don't make a best use of it by putting my work out there and talking more on about my work on it. Because what happens when I'm involved in making, it gets very difficult for me to shoot and do both the things simultaneously.
Very
But
true.
that's something I need to learn and I need to build on it. Uh, so yeah, the team was there, and they were young artists out of college, and they got scholarships, so they uh, went ahead for further studies. But it was really, I was very lucky to have them because they were really hardworking and dedicated. They picked up the craft very quickly. They also enjoyed the material. They understood my vision. So it was really great training them, working with them. I I'm planning to hire now more artists and build my team.
In New Delhi
Just
itself.
yeah, in Delhi only. I have a studio, home studio only, so it's a full-fledged studio and an office space.
So anybody who will be watching this video, this podcast, and if any young artist who is interested can maybe reach out to you on Instagram.
Absolutely, absolutely. It would be a pleasure.
That's amazing.
I am in a lookout for such artists. So yes, so right now the team is, when it comes to creating, it's me, and I have freelancers who are helping me with social media and photography and other aspects of business. How did I reach out to the international market? Yes, that's where my corporate connection helped, because like I said, I used to travel internationally as a buyer. Not directly, but indirectly as the corporate help, because my um, my segment was very different when I was working. It was all precious jewelry, like gold, diamond, platinum. And now my segment is very different. It's contemporary art jewelry. So directly, no, I didn't get much of a help from my corporate connections. But like when I did Milan Jewelry Week in 2022, the year that I launched, it was through Instagram only that I got to know, because of the pages I used to follow, or the some of the connections that I have built. So I saw their page, saw the in open call for, they were looking for the artist, and I applied, and luckily they selected me. So there were some 750 international artists who participated in that show.
Wow.
And yeah, that was the journey. That was like the start. And like I said, that when in 2005, back in 2005, 2006, when I used to go to Italy and I used to look at those makers and got really inspired by them. So when this Milan Jewelry Week happened, I was like, it's like, I was manifesting for it, and it just happened. And that too on the year of launch.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that happened, and post that I got connected with all those artists. We built a very good network. We are still in touch. So through them, I got to know about other international exhibitions which are in a similar space, because precious jewelry exhibitions are many, and I didn't see my product fitting in that category, and I didn't want to get into that category also. So knowing that internationally there are a lot of opportunities and there are exhibitions, and for India, this category of contemporary art jewelry is still not there. But internationally, it's a big growing category where the jewelry is not just about, it or the ornamentation of it. It has some meaning. It is like how art has something to say. Similarly, the jewelry, it's like a wearable art that you create with an intention which has some meaning, which is either addressing social issues or political issues on those lines. So that category is growing big internationally, and that's the category that I could relate to.
Yeah,
Uh,
and as an artist, like what I have noticed is, of course, jewelry is a wearable, right? And wearables tend to send also sells more sooner, at least, than a piece of artwork that goes on a wall, you know.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that is a there is like a almost a shift where I mean, you as an artist could have just been involved in something like making pieces of sculpture, or rather pieces of, you know, hanging art. But because also you also had experience of NIFT and you were in the industry of jewelry, but it makes sense that, you know, that your art can be transformed into a wearable. So that really
yeah.
intrigues me. Yeah.
Yeah, that intrigued me also, because I mean, till the time I didn't go to Milan and participated there, I had no idea of this category, to be very honest. I was
Wow.
still treating my brand, or the product that I was doing, as jewelry, and because my background was that, I only saw jewelry like that. But when
Hmm.
I got exposed to so many artists who, like, there was a artist from US. He's a surgeon, and of course he works with the same tools, and he was like, and he was carving various materials from all the surgical tools that was discarded
Oh my
during
God.
his free time, and
Wow.
it was like,
Mind
I have never
blowing.
seen anything like that
Even
before.
hearing about it is mind blowing, because
Yeah,
any day
and
surgeons will be like the best artists because they have that hand control.
he's a very senior like surgeon. So now he's retired as a surgeon. So now he's full time devoted to doing jewelry, and he will collect like rare stones and materials, and then he will just sit on it for a month carving it. It was like an eye opener for me. I'm like, wow,
Wow.
people are doing such stuff also. So, there I met so many different people working with so many different materials for jewelry. They combine rubber and diamond. They combining wood with gold. Uh, it was like really
Wow.
something interesting, and that's where I think my whole perspective of looking at my work changed, and then interacting with
And
them,
this was in
knowing
Milan?
about their journey. Sorry,
And this was in Milan Fashion Week?
this was Milan. Yeah, Milan Jewelry Week. Yeah,
Wow. A Milan Jewelry Week.
yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
So yeah, ever since then I started on a lookout of such shows internationally, and so that was, I will thank Instagram, because there mm, when you follow one page, it suggests another. The so it
Algorithm
kept
hooks
suggesting.
you.
Yeah, their
Wow.
algorithm really helped me in finding these open calls. So I started participating on those. So initially, of course, I had a lot of rejections, because my work was still not evolved to that level, and I was also still trying to understand what they are looking for, and what it meant to be like a wearable art pieces, and so I think those rejections also helped me to understand how to evolve, how differently I can present my work. So it was like a journey for me. Like I said, the inspiration comes from a lot of obvious things. But when you start looking things from an artist perspective, anything becomes an inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, mm, like I did one piece which was inspired by a song. I used to listen to it a lot, and then I stopped listening to it. And when I was watching one series, that song was there in that series, and I started listening it to again, and it's a song by Sting, Fragile. And while listening to that song, uh, I created one piece that captured the essence of that song. And yeah, and then I submitted that piece for one of the open call, and that was the first time, my piece was accepted in the open call. And then that was when I realized that I have to go beyond, the
Design.
obvious, and I have to feel more inward
Mm-hmm.
uh, to translate that into my work. The whole perspective shifted. Uh, so yeah, and since then I've been I have been in lookout for any and every kind of an open call that comes my way. Not from the intention that I want to get selected, but that pushes me to think beyond.
Correct.
Every open call will come up with some interesting exclusive theme, and just working for those themes, and it just helps me to go beyond my normal work. So that's how I got through multiple international platforms. Then there are a couple of international forums that I'm part of it, and like there is a community of metalsmiths in North America. It's called SNAG. So I'm a member of that. Through them, I get to know of different opportunities, and through that, only I could participate in New York Jewelry Week.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's just that I keep looking out for such stuff on online. Become member of couple of international platforms. They also help me to they send all the opportunities, whatever is available
Interesting.
for that year, for that time. Uh, I'm thankful that I have British Society of Enamelers. They accepted my application, so now I'm a member of British Society of Enamelers also. So yeah, these platforms help me to
Expand the business, sort of.
yeah. More than business, I think it expands me to connect with. Let's see how it goes.
Same here. And from my past experience at Bhavkala Collective, your artworks used to shine through the room. Like, it's one of the artworks that has not left my mind ever since I've seen it, because it is so unique. Can you share us a little bit about these artworks as
Time when I participated at Bhavkala, it was on my wish list in 2024, because for 2 years I have been doing jewelry. Started with jewelry, and over the years of working with enamel craft, I realized that scale is not a problem, and it can be converted into a bigger and larger art pieces. So thought was there of experimenting with the larger scale pieces. As a person, I think I am very drawn to nature objects that are kind of discarded or lying on the road. Like you can see in one of the artwork in Ganpati, the background is that slate that I picked up in Dharamshala. I also collected a lot of seed pods during that time, because I found their form very, very interesting. My studio was full of such things. So one day, I thought, let me try to mimic it, and let me try to create something out of it. So it became very interesting, because it was the first time that I was doing the artwork, and pods became like kind of a metaphor for starting something new. So that was the whole idea of creating these artworks. And once I finished it, I think the timing was perfect that you connected with me, and I was kind of ready to display my art. Getting presented in an art gallery was a first experience, and I'm really happy and lucky that it was through you, because it was a wonderful experience also.
Oh, that's so sweet.